Oh my goodness. Becky, look at this earth. It is so flat. It looks like a gigantic frisbee, but who understands those flat earthers anyway? They just say it's flat because it's a total psyop, okay? I mean, the earth, it's obviously a ball. I can't believe they'd even deny that it's round. That's like out there. I mean, weird. Look, it's just so flat. I like flat earth and I think
how did you your evidence you don't really have actual evidence. You're just theorizing.
No, I'm not theorizing. Water lays level and flat when it's contained. Water is your evidence.
So you're telling us the truth, right?
I'm conveying.
You found evidence and you told us. So why can't there be more people like you? Why are you?
How do you know that they're not?
You are telling me when I'm saying that if someone found evidence, how do you know they're going to tell you?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they're like you.
Maybe. I want you to critically think. Stop depending on me or him or your teachers in your school or her or your friends. Critically think yourself. Stop taking mainstream media and the news and your education as fact, like a religion, like that's no different than this is a seminary school. Critically think yourself. Find out whether something's true or not on your own time. And if it's not true and you are here in school, then yeah, you're going to have to go through the motions and answer questions that you don't particularly agree with. Okay, I'm just here to provoke thought. I'm not here to win you over or anything like that. I'm here to challenge you and allow you to critically think on your own. Because if the earth does go on infinitely forever, then that would take away everything. Then that means there could be more land. And we're not just here on this little pond right here. We could actually go explore, and maybe this generation could be the next Christopher Columbus type of idea. So what's up, man?
Yeah. Are you familiar with cohesion of water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Take care, ladies. Have a nice day. Good talking to you.
I was just curious. So, do you think obviously this is from a person who's experienced heliocentric all their life?
Yeah. I experienced for 35 years my whole life too.
Yeah,
so.
but I'm just curious. So, from what I've been taught, I was wondering how you can justify your justification using water and lakes.
Mm-hmm.
If it could be, if you can convince me or allow me to get more critical thinking of how cohesion doesn't disprove the flat water part of it. So, just so we're on the same page, with cohesion, have you ever done that experiment when you were middle school, where you drop water onto a flat penny, and how it pools up and rounds over a little bit until it overflows?
What's that
and then
called?
That's cohesion.
Like meniscus and stuff like that.
Yep. Not quite, but yeah. That you're thinking. So that's when if you put water into a graduated cylinder, you get the meniscus, which is a lower level. But this is so cohesion of water will just mean that the water is more likely to attract than fall off. So what I'm curious is if we had let's say I took what's a large flat a pizza pan or something, right? And I filled it with water drop by drop, and I looked across the top, I could shine a laser beam and it would be perfectly flat, right?
Okay.
Do you disagree with that?
Well, I'm just trying to understand how much water do you need? Are you wondering how much water you need to get it to be flat?
Well, I'm just suggesting that although the lakes, in my understanding, the lakes appear to be flat, it is actually just due to the cohesion and the fact that the water molecules are obviously going to want to bond together and stay together because they're polarized.
Yeah. And is water typically more dense, or is it more with a lot of water? Does it not fall to the ground and then spread itself out because it weighs more than the air around it, right?
Yeah, if you're putting drops of water on a plate, it's obviously going to fall through the air.
Yeah,
yes,
right. Yeah, okay. So the reason why people think that the Earth is a ball floating in outer space is because of gravity.
Yeah, I would say so. The theory of gravity.
Yeah. So how do we demonstrate that here on Earth? How do we demonstrate a ball floating in and of itself without any exterior energy or anything to have it float in the air?
Sorry, you lost me there.
Well,
so
the Earth allegedly is floating on the bending of space-time.
It's riding curvatures in space-time. Yes.
Okay. So
sorry,
how do you demonstrate the Earth as a sphere bending on space-time You have to also demonstrate that using the scientific method here on Earth. How do you demonstrate water
Yep.
in a ball form,
Sure.
sphere form, floating without any exterior help or electricity or energy?
So you're saying how can we?
You have to demonstrate things
Yeah,
to make them true, right? You
yeah,
can't
I
just
agree.
say some fantasy
I know,
land
I
up
was
in
just
outer
gonna ask about
space,
the
right?
Ask for clarification.
Yeah.
So the water floating.
Yeah.
What implies that the water needs to be floating?
Well, it has to.
Oh,
doesn't
are you
the
saying
Earth
to
float
justify
in
gravity?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I wasn't understanding that. I apologize. So, could we justify gravity using a vacuum chamber and dropping a ping pong ball in a vacuum?
We can't create a 100% vacuum here on Earth.
I agree, but we can create a 99% vacuum.
Yeah,
We can create a
and
nearly-
slow motion video shows over a distance of 100 feet. Okay, not 5 feet or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Sure,
we need a long. We need like this building. We need a vacuum chamber that's 100 or 150 feet
Yeah.
to be able to demonstrate
Yes.
the speed of things.
Yeah, to get to terminal velocity.
Yeah, to get to terminal
Yes.
velocity. Right.
Have you seen the?
I've seen videos that show
Okay.
that heavier things fall faster than feathers and stuff like that
in a vacuum?
in a vacuum.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen videos of the opposite, but I'm sure we can't just talk about videos.
Yeah, I mean, we can just sit here and argue
Yeah,
all
we
day,
could-
but
yeah,
let's
we
talk
don't need
about. I'm just trying to get to like what
Okay,
I
yeah,
feel
sorry.
is
We'll
a
go back
fact.
to your point.
You
Yep,
know,
go ahead.
is water laying level and flat when it's contained. And if you were to say that it would look like a mirror earlier in the morning, because water is
Yeah,
so
that's-
calm
yeah,
and
that's
there's
very
no wind to move the water or shift it around, like how much water then do you need for it to start to bend and curve? Because water just doesn't naturally just bend and curve here in our atmosphere, quote, you know?
Okay, so you're saying like when you say bend and curve, like if I put
Yeah,
a water
because-
drop on like your paper, right? Or
No,
your
no,
laminated
no,
thing.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
going
no.
to. I'm not going to. I'm just.
I don't
I'm-
care if you do or not. I'm just,
It's laminated, so it's nice.
I'm trying to help. You're hanging on to something that's just not true,
Yeah,
man.
and
And
I
it's
mean,
really kind of,
Okay.
it's
well,
unfortunate,
Can we?
you know?
Can we
So,
work on our terminology just 1 second?
yeah.
So you said I'm hanging on to something that's not true, and
Well,
the
because
whole-
you're using small amounts of water to
Yeah.
prove curvature.
Yeah.
And that's not real.
we don't.
That's
think
not
we can
realistic.
Extrapolate.
No,
I mean, it is
you
dangerous to
can't,
extrapolate.
man.
You're right. You're
Because
right.
is the ocean a drop of water?
really really big drops of water, but
Come
yes,
on,
I see what
man.
you're saying. I see what you're saying. No,
I know you want to hang on to this thing.
And I'm
you know?
trying to. I
But-
genuinely love talking about this.
Yeah,
This
and
is
I
awesome.
appreciate you hanging out. You know, even though we're just not
Very
going to agree
different.
right now.
Yeah.
But you have to have curvature to have a sphere. You have to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you a math guy?
I love math.
Okay. The radius of your ball Earth you believe you
My
live
globe,
on
yep.
is 3959 in radius.
Can we round that to 4,000? So we can do
4,000.
some quick math here.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, and the circumference is 24,901 miles. So you can round that up to 25,000 miles if you want.
Yeah. Well,
At the
here.
equator.
Okay. Let's. 4,000 miles circumference must be 3 times that. So
Okay.
Like 12. Yeah. Diameter.
So over a
obviously.
distance, over a body of water from point A to point B,
Mm-hmm.
at 50 miles, there should be almost 1,700 feet of curvature drop.
So to get this, I'm just curious. What did you? Do you have your? Oh, is this the equation you use?
You can take a picture of it if you
I
want,
would
man.
love to.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I can just trying to verify everything.
Yeah,
I've
please. Yeah, I really appreciate,
got. Thank you.
And so what this is trying to convey, and I'm just not a math guy because I don't feel like math creates reality. I think it can help us observe
Yeah. No. I
parts of
totally
reality.
agree.
But I don't
100%.
think that we can say the lights in the sky are a particular distance away because of parallax and everything.
Oh.
Because I just don't
Okay.
feel like we've been to those lights in the sky, personally.
I mean, I will disagree to
Okay.
agree to disagree.
So if I have in my mind, and you have in your mind, what a
Yes.
foot is, like a
The-
relative foot looks like in your
Sure,
mind.
if you want to use empirical.
Okay, I could say from here to that bus is probably like 40, 50 feet.
Okay, I clearly don't have as good of a sense of scale as you do, but sure. I'll
Okay,
trust your
I
scale.
mean even like 40 feet. Let's say 40 feet
Okay.
or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's far away, then we could use this curvature calculation, and it's most accurate within a couple hundred miles or so, because there's still going to be particulates in the air,
Yeah, of course.
water vapors in the
Yep.
air, dust, and we really don't know whether it might be going on 100 miles away from us. Okay, but if we were to assume, hypothetically, that the sky is clear from here in Minnesota all the way to the most western part of Minnesota where it meets South Dakota.
Okay.
Okay.
Trying to think of a map. I'm not from Minnesota originally.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
sure, South Dakota.
so in your mind, you would be at the tangent point on the top of the globe, which is where we're at right now.
Well, I can't agree to that.
Okay, because
in
in your mind, you have to believe that people in Australia are standing upside down.
okay, like from my perspective, yeah, they would be upside down. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but in their perspective, they're upside right up, right?
They're right side up. Yes.
Okay. So from point A to point B, with 100 miles, there should be almost 7,000 feet of curvature drop. So that means that you being on the top of your ball Earth that you believe you live on, there should be almost a mile and a fourth of curvature drop. So that means from here to here, it should start to bend.
Like that you just did, was that here to South Dakota or here to Australia? I missed it.
I know. I'm just, we're kind of going all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
But,
I'm very bouncing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the best way to do this is from point A to point B across a body of water.
Sure.
Okay. And allegedly, people have done photography and video to show over Lake Superior.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So from 50 miles away, there should be almost 1,700 feet of curvature drop. So when they're at point A and they're looking at point B, which would be the Willis Tower or Sears Tower, the Sears Tower is about 1,600 feet tall.
Okay, give me a second. Across Lake Superior. Yeah. Okay. I'll trust some of your math.
Okay,
here, yeah.
so
I want
you to look into this yourself.
Yeah,
too,
no, definitely, I will, of course.
So the Willis Tower should be hidden by about 1,700 feet of curvature drop.
Okay.
So between you and that bulge of water, that should be that bulge of water, but people can still see over vast distances.
Can people see the Willis Tower?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay.
And there's also video to show, and you can take it for what it's worth, obviously.
Yeah, again, we can't trust video.
Yeah, but there's a guy out there called Jay Tolan, and he does infrared video on an airplane about 35,000 feet or so.
Okay, cool.
And he has shown from his airplane that he's on, out the window, that there's almost 800 miles of visible land.
Wait, so he's using infrared to get through the
atmosphere and particulates
okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay, I see. Would it get in? Would it have? How is he filtering? Obviously, it's again video, and it's not you. So
and I want you to look into it yourself. So look into it on your own time.
Wouldn't like other people, engines, stuff like that create any interference, or does he have a filter for that?
I would assume that there's a filter and everything.
Yeah.
Look at the metadata and everything that's being displayed.
Of course, yeah.
So, look into that. So,
Yeah, definitely.
there should be at that height, there should be curvature drop. It should be shown obvious curvature drop.
If we're
in the plane and we live on a ball. Because
Yeah.
eventually it should start to come down like this, like almost like you're coming up to a waterfall.
Oh, so you're saying, well, but if you lost me again. So, like, if let's say it's a sphere, wouldn't I just be doing this? So it would never be a waterfall. It would always appear flat.
Well, that's the idea. But every 70 miles or so, the pilot should start to dip their nose down because of the circumference of the Earth and the diameter and everything.
When Earth's gravity caused, so like, if I had a downward acceleration and then I had my standard velocity, it should, like, the acceleration will cause me to bend slightly. And again, this is globe-centric model, but it'll cause me to bend down due to the increase in my negative y velocity if we're setting our axis up as positive y. So then wouldn't that then cause the pilot to not, and that's how I understand satellites work.
Yeah.
So then wouldn't it just cause there to be no noticeable difference for the pilot? Obviously, maybe some slight corrections. If
Well, what's a gyroscope then? What's a gyroscope for?
Are you like the gyroscopes where you spin them and then they'll? Well, gyroscopes are rotating fast enough that they can maintain stability, right?
They originate in space, right? And
Yeah.
then the
usually,
pilot.
like, they have a point or something. That
And then the pilot itself. I mean, really, like.
Oh, are you referring to like the plane meter thing? Like,
Yeah.
I thought you were referring to
ulti-
gyroscopes in general. I apologize.
Yeah, so like in the airplane, it would show that you would have to dip your nose down, because if you don't on a ball Earth, you would just continue to keep going, and then you would just go out into outer space. So you have to just think about it. Like,
Okay. Yep. Okay.
just think about this.
So ball
you
Earth,
have
are
to
we thinking
use.
ball Earth
Yeah,
or
we're thinking about ball Earth.
Ball Earth. Got it.
To be on an airplane, you have to use gravity as a means to allow your mind to think that we're just going around the ball because of gravity.
Yes,
But-
I'm using gravity.
But if the Earth were flat, just for example,
Yep.
you're just going on across a flat plane, and we call it an airplane because it's in the air and it's flying over a plane. Could it be just that simple?
Could it also be that you use the fact that like the wings and like it's a flat surface, right? And then that provides the best lift, and then we've gradually curved the plane as planes don't need to be perfectly flat. But I mean, that's getting into why airplanes are named with air. That's
Sure.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
You also seem to be very popular as people are taking pictures of your booth and all that.
Oh yeah, I get around.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So sorry, where were we? Oh yeah. So you were saying in the flat Earth model, I would be. So then
You're flying parallel to the ground at
Parallel to the
35,000 feet. You're just
Okay.
flying from point A to point B.
So
just
I'm-
like
I'm
if you're
going-
flying,
Yep.
you know, from here to here, you know, like that. Mm-hmm. So then you're flying from LAX to Tokyo, Japan, and you're just flying, you know, from point A to point B.
Let's see. Okay. Okay.
So have you ever investigated any ideas of pilots conveying that the Earth is a level, non-rotating plane? Commercial airline pilots?
I have not looked into pilots. I've done little bit of research. I obviously not a ton, as I haven't done it personally.
Sure.
Into scientists verifying and obviously opposite.
Would you think if you were a commercial airline pilot, just hypothetically,
Okay, I am now a commercial airplane.
yeah, you're a commercial airline pilot for 20 years and you have 10 years to go until you can retire.
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe even let's just say a year.
Sure.
You have one more year before you got to retire.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it just crossed your mind that the Earth is flat.
Okay.
Who would you tell? You have one more year to retire.
I probably would like post it anonymously online.
Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just
Well,
be a whistleblower and just be out in the open and just say, hey,
As someone who grew up globe-centric Earth, I would be worried about.
but why? You
the
want to do the right
implication.
thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But like you were talking about earlier, like people might globe-centered model.
Apologetics. People who defend the globe.
I was just gonna say globe-centered model.
Yeah.
Globe-centered model people would maybe be very hesitant to fly in an airplane with someone who's believes that it's flat Earth.
Right?
And I assume that's the point you were going for, yeah?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
They
What were you-
wouldn't say anything because they want to keep their mouth shut and they just want to retire. And then after the fact, they would say something.
Oh,
that's
I see.
that's the same
Okay,
thing
I
with any
missed that, yeah.
scientist here
Okay.
or any professor or whatever who's trying to get tenure. I mean, tenure is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'm
for a lot of
physics.
professors.
I'm actually a physics major, and
Okay.
that's a very common path is to get tenure in an
Yeah.
academy.
So what if you had like 2, 3, 4 years to get to tenure, and you found out through your own personal investigation without talking to any other professors because you don't
Yeah.
want to sound crazy?
Yep.
Would you say anything?
The Earth is flat. It is.
They seem to agree. I as a scientist, I feel obligated to speak.
But you'd lose your job. You wouldn't get tenure.
If it's something, well then, in my mind,
I mean, that's a noble thing to do
Yeah,
for
and-
you personally.
Yeah.
But do you think that would be the general consensus for a lot of other people?
as scientists, I would hope so.
A professor or
I
whatever?
would hope so.
You would hope so, right? But that's,
Obviously, I can't
not-
speak for other
yeah.
people, but because let's say I had proof and I double checked it, triple checked it, right? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't the other scientists agree with me? They know what I found is correct. Like, let's say, what's a big thing? Gravitons, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say I suddenly found gravity waves. I would, and I double check, triple check. I would announce it. Yes, it completely disagrees with our conventional model of how gravity works. But I'd say something about it.
but
and
don't
people did.
gravitons continue the heliocentric idea though? Still,
Well, I'm using
in the
that
bending
as,
of
I'm
space
using
time.
that as an example.
Yeah, but I'm trying to use an example that goes completely 180 degrees
Well, that
against
was
everything that's
gravitons
taught here.
did though. Like gravity waves themselves. That was the first known. That would like.
But what's like LIGO or whatever? Isn't like what is that? Starts with an L.
LIGO?
LIGO. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, isn't that kind of similar where they're trying to find gravity waves and stuff like
LIGO. Yeah. So are you talking about LIGO detectors? Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was implying, right?
Yeah.
Is that the people at LIGO went through something very similar, and they all released it that they believed that they had proof of gravity waves, which was like,
that? Yeah.
excuse my pun, earth shaking.
Yeah. Right.
And therefore, I mean, it leads me to maybe I'm naive, and I mean, I'm only a college student. Obviously, I don't
yeah,
understand
fair
the full.
enough.
But that would lead me to trust in the discretion of other scientists. So
Yeah.
But-
Could people that are in those particular fields be part of some kind of like little group, where they don't really allow other people from the outside in, where they
LIGO?
want? Yeah.
no,
like
absolutely, I can do research with LIGO right now if I wanted to.
like you can go there and everything. You can literally
I'm
go there.
considering doing a tour actually.
Okay, sure.
But, I mean, that's not an opportunity everyone has, so I'll.
Yeah.
But I'm actually, I think I'm going this spring actually. So
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
and then maybe I'll be able to tell you if it's a group.
Yeah,
but-
well, I mean, and I would, just try to encourage you just to don't get so invested.
Oh, I'm
Like how
horrible at getting invested in
how a
things.
lot of people get invested into faith and religious beliefs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I compare, the university, and I know this might sound harsh to a lot of people.
No,
but
we're being
I com-
honest with each
yeah,
other.
I compare the university to some kind of a seminary school.
Seminary school. I'm not familiar with seminary school.
Yeah,
but
so seminary school basically teaches the Bible and Bible
yes.
history
I just
and
have never been to one, so I don't know.
yeah. So basically, what they're doing is they're bringing students in and they're helping them become pastors and
Yeah, so they can
interpreting
teach
the
their
Bible,
faith
so
that
they
they
can teach
believe.
their faith, right?
Yeah.
But if you just stick with that particular mindset, how is it that you're going to have any kind of opposing views outside of that?
Well,
If you're not really critically
Isn't that
thinking.
the point of faith?
Well, it is, but it also can be drawn in. It can also be a fine line between faith and a cult.
Oh yes, I would agree. I'm
Because if you can't question what you're being taught, then do you think that's kind of like cult-like behavior?
Well, I mean, hopefully I've never been to seminary school.
Yeah.
Don't know any people
Sure.
in seminary school. I assume they question it, and I assume they do their best to fully understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
again, as someone who's more science-minded, I do struggle with faith a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can't justify faith that well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, be open-minded to the spiritual realm a little
yeah,
bit.
I mean, I would classify myself as agnostic
Yeah,
personally.
okay. Yeah, great.
What is your personal religion? Sorry.
Well, I do believe in a creator.
In a creator?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I mean, we could argue about whether that creator is
agnostic,
or not. No, I do feel
Oh, do
that
you
it
have-
is a biblical
biblical. Okay.
viewpoint,
Okay.
but I'm not,
No,
I
that's-
wouldn't consider myself
Cool.
I wouldn't consider myself the typical person that you would talk to that's spiritual.
Okay. No,
Not that I'm saying like I'm new agey or anything.
No, but you're just
but-
saying you have maybe counteracting views to most.
Yeah,
No, that's fair, that's
because I do feel like even the Catholic Church, for example, has withheld a lot of information, like
From
electromagnetism, for example, and the ability to harness the air that is around us and use that as energy.
Really? People
Yeah.
are able to harvest? How would
Like
you...
Tesla, for example, ideas.
Oh.
You familiar with that?
I do know about a Tesla, and he was never... Free energy was never something that he... So,
I didn't say
maybe I'm
that
misunderstanding.
much,
Okay.
but I'm just saying
I
he did come up with some ideas that there was the Tesla Tower, for example.
Yep.
And being able to harness the sky, right? 2,000 feet, 2,500 feet, and turn it into energy, and then it would go to the ground and then be able to give us, free energy instead of us having to charge our phones, for example. Because you charge your phone because the energy has to be contained within
and
the cord,
batteries, and
cord right here, right? So what if
Well,
they're
you don't need to. But yeah.
well, I have to have my cord connected to my phone, otherwise it won't charge.
I disagree. You can do inductive charging.
But it has to be stationary.
What?
So I can hold my phone out like this and
Oh.
charge it
I mean, if I had an inductive charger I was holding here.
through the air.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
But it's not the air.
But it's not
that's the
commercial.
thing.
But yeah, but
It's the magnetic field.
yeah. So you have to put the energy into a battery, is what you're saying.
Yes, for it to
Yeah,
store.
for it
there,
to communicate to said phone,
Yes,
for example.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Right. So instead of having to do all that, what if it was just the air around it was electromagnetized? And you could just walk around, and that's why we
it
would have.
is, right?
That's why we would have like electromagnetic cars. Would never have to charge them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, the Earth, in a globe-centered model, I do believe that there is a magnetic field around the Earth.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not strong enough, and the amount of current needed to generate such a strong magnetic field to do what you're implying would be enough to kill everyone, I think,
Yeah.
roughly. So I don't know if that would be the best way, but maybe the air energy was a different manner.
Yeah.
That's not using an electromagnetic field, excuse me.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. And it looks like you do have more people.
Yeah, I
to talk
appreciate
to.
you stopping, man.
No, thank
Joshua.
you. What was your name? Caleb.
Caleb, pleasure.
meet you.
Take care. I'll
Yeah,
see you
as
around.
well. Good luck.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty well, thanks. What's happening?
Nothing much. We're just walking around, just talking to people.
Yeah, you want a water? Got a water in the cooler if you want.
That's all right. Thank you, though.
Yeah. I have a YouTube channel if you got some free time ever. Come by and check it out.
Alright.
Has it ever crossed your mind that the Earth is a non-rotating level plane? Not a ball in outer space?
Nuh-uh.
It has now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What could you give me as your two proofs or evidences that the Earth is a ball floating on the bending of space-time in outer space?
I won't ask you a question.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get evidence so maybe I can go home.
So you go home?
So I can go home. Because I've been doing this for about 3 years and nobody's been able to tell me their own personal evidence other than referring to NASA, pictures from outer space, astronauts, somebody else smarter than me has done it so I don't have to type of deal. What have you done to verify in your heart that you live on a ball in outer space, floating on the bending of space-time?
Well, I believe that God created the heavens and the earth. So,
Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, so I believe that the earth is round.
Like a penny. Can you show me, what verse do you have to verify that the Earth is a sphere?
Well, I don't have a verse, but
Why not?
I'm not arguing that the verse is not flat.
Okay.
I just wondered how do you think it got flat?
It's always been flat. It didn't get flat, it's always been.
When you say always, what do you mean by always? Like you believe it's
From
always
the
been there?
foundations of the earth in Genesis 1, when God's Spirit was hovering over the surface of the water, He spoke things into being, and it has always been a level, non-rotating plane built on foundations. So you can go with the four corners of the earth type of thing, and so on and so on, the circle of the earth like is described in Isaiah. But also in Isaiah, he describes a sphere and a circle. A circle is not a sphere, and vice versa. So there is a difference between the two that is conveyed in Isaiah.
Gotcha.
So in Job 38, if you were to believe that this is where you live, Job 38 contradicts this because he wasn't there when God laid out the foundations of the earth, right? When he's having this conversation. You familiar with Job?
Yeah.
Okay. So when Job is asking him, and then in Isaiah 40:12 also, it says that the earth and the waters cannot be measured. So if Google says that the earth has been measured, who are you going to believe, God's word or Google?
I don't support Google at all.
Okay, but if you believe you live here, right,
Right.
it has to have been measured. Does it not?
Right.
I'm not trying to put you in a pigeonhole. I'm just asking you an honest question, okay? But Google is no different than this educational system, to be honest with you. If I type in Google, what is the radius of the earth? It's going to tell me the same thing that any science teacher is going to tell me here. Okay? So that's just basic mainstream science. But if you believe in the Bible and what God's word says, in that it says that no man can measure the earth or all of the water that is in it. So So that contradicts it. So if you believe you live here, then the Bible contradicts this.
All right.
So it's just something to consider, you know?
All right. Are you a student here?
No.
Oh, you're not?
Nope.
Well, I'm not either.
Nope. Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, so are you a Christian?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. What's your name?
Joshua.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Joshua.
Yeah,
My
nice to
name's
meet you
Cade.
too. Yeah, hope
I'm
to.
from Alabama. So.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. I have a YouTube channel premiere tonight at 7:30.
All right.
So maybe just come hang out, listen to what I have to say, and links in the description section. You know, go on your own journey.
Yeah,
You know, question things. But in my opinion, our Creator wouldn't create us in something, a ball and floating in outer space that has all these random acts like asteroids and so on and so on. You know, we're going to be here, solid, firm, built on foundations, not moving and not spinning, because He gave us an equilibrium in our minds. So you know when you're like this, right? You know when you're inebriated and you've had too much to drink, you are off balance, right? Or if you get up too fast, blood rushes to your head and you get off balance. That's your equilibrium telling you that you're off balance. So if we were living on a ball Earth that's spinning in 4 different directions, even around the sun, and the sun is still moving through the solar system at 500,000 miles an hour, that just doesn't make any sense. Even just think about that logically.
Right.
So
I appreciate you taking.
Thanks a
the time.
lot, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
You have any brochures that I would like to talk, but I have to go?
Yes, sir. Yeah, check it out. Do you have a DVD player at home?
No.
No? Okay. That's all I got for now. Otherwise,
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
Do you firmly believe Earth is flat?
Yes.
So we'll be here on Monday. We'll talk about it.
Hope so.
Thank you, man.
Lord willing. Take care. Have a good weekend. Hey, how are you?
I actually have a project for class where I'm supposed to talk to someone I've never talked to. Do you care if I phone you at all and ask you a few questions?
No, go for it. Yeah. You got to get you got to get a fancy phone holder like this.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a card here, man.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, well, I feel like you're pretty well known around campus for this. Would you consider this like one of your biggest passions? Do you like appreciate that this is what people associate with your name? or your
Take care.
face?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And I see that you're pretty dedicated to this. You said like you've been doing this for what, 3 years?
3 years.
And
Yeah.
it seems like from the way you say things that you've been probably given every explanation over and over. Does it get tiring? Do you hear the same few things over and over
I hear the
again?
same 3-4 questions over and over again, but it doesn't get tiring because I have to consider myself in a person's shoes like yourself,
Yeah.
having never experienced this person before. Like, what, you think the Earth is flat?
Yeah.
Of course, I would have all those questions. So when I came across this idea about 4 years ago or so, I didn't have people on the street. I didn't have all these videos available for me and all this knowledge. I personally had to look into the flat Earth idea myself and answer questions on my own. So I didn't have anybody to go to and ask those questions. I don't get tired of hearing what other people have to say because I care about people and I want them to at least critically think for themselves and not feel like kind of an NPC, if you will, like robotic in this place without ever critically thinking on their own.
Yeah, no, I respect that because I feel like it's difficult to like hold on to your beliefs when probably a lot of people are disagreeing with those.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I think it's the same as people who like doubt one religion over the next or whatever. It's just what you believe and it's not necessarily something that everyone has to agree with, but it's like how it is. But of the things people give you like a lot as questions or like evidence as to why the Earth is not flat, what like do you get a lot? Like horizon line or-
Like pictures from outer space. Somebody would have fallen off the edge by now. Astronauts
Yeah.
landing on the moon.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So gravity is a big
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like more scientific stuff.
Yeah.
But I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Oh, no, yeah, you can edit it, right?
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Let's see. Is this like one of the only like theories like you have? Like, do you have anything else? Like, I see it says outer space is fake. Is that like different from the whole Earth is flat thing? Does that have anything else to it?
Well, I have, before I came into the idea of the Earth being a level non-rotating plane, I had questions about NASA and landing on the moon and whatnot. But I didn't believe the moon landing, but I still thought I lived here on this ball Earth.
Yes.
And I actually had this on my screensaver on my computer 4 years ago. And so I totally thought that this was me as if I was God looking at the Earth from this perspective. And so once I came across the idea of the Earth being a level non-rotating plane, I started to question outer space a little bit more and what the lights were in the sky and whether it's something that we can venture to. And one thing that started to kind of get under my skin a little bit and help me sway away more from outer space is the gas pressure systems next to each other without a solid barrier.
Yeah, I don't know much about science, so I can't really relate to what I was saying. But I know there was something that. Like,
But yeah, so if we were to build like a cube, like a plastic cube that we could see through, okay, and we built it right here, the air inside that cube would be the same pressure as the air outside of it.
Yeah.
Okay, but if we were to drill a hole, take out all the air from it, basically taking out all the water vapor and whatnot from that cube, and then we were to seal it up, could we say that the air inside of that would be a low pressure system, and then outside of it would be our atmosphere, and it would be a high pressure system?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the two pressure systems are separate,
Yeah.
right? So how do we get back into that plastic cube, or how do we get out of it?
Yeah, I don't know enough about science.
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
just think about it logically. To think about it logically, you would have to drill another hole into that cube,
Yes, you would.
right?
That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so, or you would have to drill out, if you were inside of it and you were like gasping for air and you're like, get me out of here.
More holes.
I would need more holes to breathe. So the air from outside of that cube would start to rush in and create equilibrium.
Yeah.
So the air then, after we have drilled the new hole into it, after we have taken all the air out, would be equal to the air around it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that in mind, people say that gravity is the reason that we have the pressure system, and there's a gradient between our atmosphere, the air that we breathe, and up above. So there's a gradual gradient of atmosphere, like the ionosphere and stuff like that, you know, from point A to point B. What I'm trying to convey is that the low pressure system of outer space would have sucked up our air, or vice versa.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
So outer space would be at equilibrium with our air, or vice versa.
Yeah, like.
But because there's
no solid barrier.
there's no
between
solid
those
barrier.
things.
Hmm. But if you were to just investigate that idea, you would see that outer space couldn't exist without because it's an infinite vacuum, for example. So outer space is more than the Earth. Fair enough? Because it surrounds the entire Earth like this, right?
Yeah.
But eventually our atmosphere would be sucked up into the outer space. So it would be as if you had a gallon of water and you took an ink drop,
And then it like absorbed. Through
and then it would
water.
absorb,
Yeah.
and then you wouldn't see the ink drop anymore because it would be sucked up, it would be
Yeah.
absorbed into that
Yeah, no, that's
gallon of water. So that basic. Hey Rose, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. So that's the idea of why I feel like outer space is not an environment that we can venture to.
Yeah.
So
And just one last question, because I think this is going like a little carol way into this.
yeah, sure.
Just one more question. Like, you realize that like the flat Earth thing has kind of become like a joke or like a meme, a lot more popular nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Does that bother you at all? Do you think it's kind of
No,
No?
it doesn't bother me.
okay?
No, I mean, if things like that, like ridicule and mockery and creating memes about me, cause me to steer myself off path or become a recluse
You're
at home,
dedicated to what you do, and I respect that.
yeah, and I feel like at least it provokes thought into other things and other thoughts. Whether a person agrees with it or not, at least the Earth possibly being an infinite plane that goes in all directions, where we have a ceiling above us, where we do have a solid barrier that goes parallel along with the ground. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for.
Hey, thanks a lot.
letting me interview you.
I got a card here, so maybe you could see yourself later.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey, what's up, man? How you been?
You remember me?
Yeah.
So did you do a research about the Russian going to space or no?
Yeah, it's I know who did it, and I know that the Russians did like a dozen things before America landed on the moon. Okay.
So I was right when I said
No, you were right within regards to Russia claiming they did certain things before America. Okay, so I'll give you that, but that still doesn't make the Earth a ball, outer space real, in that America landed on the moon.
No, I'm not concerned about America.
Yeah.
Because that's something people consider to be a conspiracy theory, which is how they
Or it's the greatest achievement of all mankind.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay,
not
which they lost all the information of.
But when I left you and sat to myself and then tried to like recollect what you said, I still kind of like want to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
So, outer space. The question is it fake, or is it an imperative question or declarative question? Because I just see a question mark, meaning that you're asking a question.
I don't know, am I? The question mark is pretty far away from the statement.
Okay. So it's not an imperative question, in other words.
I'm letting people interpret how they want to look at it.
But I interpreted it the other day, and you had a problem with it.
Well, what I'm trying to convey is that I'm asking the question or I'm making a statement because the question mark isn't right next to the word fake.
Okay, so what's your stand on that?
So my stance of it is outer space is fake, period.
It's fake.
Yes.
And what makes you think it's fake?
Well, just like I was explaining to the young lady a few seconds ago, how is it that two pressure systems can be next to each other without a solid barrier? Because one of those pressure systems is going to come to equilibrium with it and be absorbed with the other gas pressure system. Just like I was saying, if you had an ink drop, take an ink drop in a gallon of water. Now that ink drop is very, very dark, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you put that ink drop in a 8-ounce glass of water, it would darken it slightly because it would be absorbed by the water.
that's diffusion. It just diffuses across, and
Right.
everything becomes equilibrium at
Exactly.
after a certain
Yeah.
period of time.
And so, but if you have a gallon of water in that ink drop and you just put a drop of water in that gallon of water, it expands even more so, and it's as if the ink drop was never put in that gallon of water. Okay? Now the Earth, being as in comparative to what outer space is incredibly small. It's like a speck on a speck. That's what we're told. Okay? So if the outer space, which surrounds your ball Earth at all 360 degrees of circumference, our atmosphere would become at equilibrium with outer space without a solid barrier.
So, you now, okay, I get that. I get that. You said that you said the same thing last week.
Yeah.
So I got it.
Okay.
Now, do you believe in this picture that you're showing me, or do you believe in science? Because the last time we talked, you was like some kind of skeptical of science being so correct at times.
I think there's a difference between science and scientism.
Okay, like you try to like make known. So, and I told you I believe it's real because the science books and the science theory and everything. That
Why
we
does it
know.
work?
But because I told you we use the scientific method, it can be repeated. These are
Does it work because of numbers and calculations and maths?
It's work because it's real and it can be proven. That's why I believe that it works.
Okay.
And do you believe it works or no?
I don't feel comfortable saying that maths and numbers and calculations prove we live on a ball Earth floating on the bending of space-time.
Oh, so in other words, your entire
I only base it on observations as a human being here on Earth.
nah.
I don't have those types of resources to go up into the sky and venture through outer space and land on the moon and put a RC car on Mars. If I believe that, what I'm doing is I'm giving myself over to authority and putting faith that they're not lying to me or they're not being deceptive, even though they might not know themselves that they're being deceptive. They're just going along with the motions. They went to school just like everybody else here. They hear something, they regurgitate it onto a test, and they pass their test, and they get to go home. You know, but until you can land on the moon and verify that yourself, the first try, mind you, America landed on the moon the first try without any happenstance or any problems. I just find that really hard to believe, personally. And
So
just
why
because
you
you know, real quick, but just because you know mathematically through the distance of the Earth to the Sun and how, like, the moon rotating around the Earth, you could use maths to land on the moon, that doesn't mean it's a possible experience that you can do,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So, what's your let's say motive of maybe doing that? What you doing? Is there a reason why you do it, or you
I
just
just-
try
I just
to get people
Provoke
everywhere?
thought. I care about people. I don't like to be lied to.
Do you do it for a job? Is that your job or what?
People can call it that, but I don't consider it a job or work or anything. It's just something that I do in my free time.
Oh,
You go home, no offense, but if he goes home or he goes home tonight and they watch Netflix every night, is that a job? But why? That's what they do every night.
okay.
So that's what they choose to do in their free time. If people go home and they just play Minecraft for 5 hours a day, is that their job? Or is that like something that they enjoy doing?
So what's your job then, if I may ask?
To do the Father's work.
Oh, you are religious person. You don't,
I
you
have
not-
faith. I'm not religious.
You just have
I don't
faith.
feel like whether I do this or not, I'm going to get myself any further or closer to God.
Oh,
You know, but I do feel led to do this. And I do feel that if I don't, that I will have personal repercussions for not doing it in my own free time, if that makes sense.
from who? Who you gonna get a repercussion?
From our Creator. Because I'm not using my time and the knowledge that I have to share it with the public. And at least get people to decide. Like Blue Shirt right here, he decided right now, he just laughed at me. So he decided whether Earth is flat or not. He knows the Earth is a ball, he just chose the Earth is a ball, not flat. Does that make sense? So every single person that walks by here, whether I talk to them or not, sees my sign, sees that sign, and then they mock and ridicule me, and they choose today whether the Earth is flat or a ball, or if it's something that they want to consider looking into.
So, I just seen this.
Yeah.
The Earth is flat according to you. Is that what you mean?
According to my observations and experience, and other experiences and observations that other people have done, which I feel in my heart are more valid, because water lays level and flat.
So you don't believe in this image?
No, this is an image. No, I don't. I don't believe that this is where we live.
Oh, okay.
No, if anything, that's close, it's something like that.
But what's the difference?
Well, this is
like a ball to me. This is in a form like a ball, and this is also in a form like a ball. So what's the difference between that?
Well, water lays level and flat. So this is all water laying flat, just like this. Water's flat. There's no measurable curvature over a distance. So water doesn't start to bend like this. Water lays level and flat over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. Because eventually to have a ball, you have to have curvature, right? Like a basketball or a volleyball or a soccer ball, right? A soccer ball has curvature. So eventually it has to start curving, does it not? But if water lays level and flat, then there's no curvature. And then if water is our totem here for to know that we're in this reality, then all the continents, now allegedly whether they're here, how they are or not, I don't know, I haven't verified this, but just for argument's sake. Okay.
That's how I'm confused. If you show a ball, it's in the form like a ball, and it can be flat. Why the Earth can be flat? There are so many reasons why. Now, I'm from Liberia, right?
Yeah.
Right now in Liberia, it's like, let me be sure precise. It's 8:32 in Liberia. And
PM or AM?
PM. And it's 3:32 in the United States.
Okay.
So because the Earth is round, it's not flat. That is one reason why there are time differences.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Okay. To you it does. Not to me.
Science says.
Okay. Well, science sounds like a religion to you then.
No, it's not a religion.
Okay.
But
Have
it's
you?
something
So
that
I looked into your Russia stuff that you asked me to.
No.
Did you look into my YouTube channel or the links in the description?
I think I need another one.
Okay.
I think I don't know what happened. Okay. So am I ready on it or no?
Well, I mean, yeah, you were. Yeah.
A
Couple days
if
ago.
I go to your YouTube channel, I can see that one and see this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it
And what
was.
do I have to do then? Do I have to subscribe, like it, or
Yeah, of course, like it.
okay?
Subscribe if you choose to, but mostly check the description section. You know, click on the show more in the description section, and I have a ton of links on the bottom, which are separate from, you know, my own personal videos or, you know, anything, just to allow yourself to get other opinions, both positive and negative. Because really what I want to do here is just try to challenge you to take in all the information, both positive and negative, on whatever it is that you choose to believe, and formulate your own critical thought. Because if I were to ask you, where do your thoughts come from? Yourself or the exterior environment in which you live?
If you were to ask me right now,
Yeah.
that's a I say complicated question, but my thought is a combination of everything: environment, thought, school. Because you have to go to school to get a profound and renowned thought.
I don't agree with that at all.
Ready?
No.
We live in a modern world
We do.
where if you not educated to certain things, it causes problem for you.
Really? So if I wanted to, what other languages do you speak?
The language I speak, you won't understand because
Okay, but I'm not asking you whether I'll understand it. I'm asking you, what other languages do you speak?
I speak cool.
Crew?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that information available on YouTube?
No.
Okay. Why don't you, to help educate other people over the earth, why don't you teach people how to speak your language on YouTube? And if I were to go onto your YouTube channel and over a couple of month period, you teach me how to speak your language, do I have to go to school to learn how to do that?
That's different.
Or can I go to YouTube?
It's different from learning science.
No, it's not.
It is.
Science is meant to be observed, demonstrated, and repeated. That's the scientific method. Okay, so how do you demonstrate the Earth being a ball floating on the bending of space-time?
That's crazy. Look at shadows.
Shadows?
That's how the ancient Greeks did it.
Why can't we do that? Are you saying that we couldn't do that now here in 2019 with the technology?
That's what I'm saying. We can just like no, but I mean it's like out of this like here, and then you run like.
Okay, fair enough. I got a YouTube channel. You should come by and check it out.
That's how people learn, basically. That's
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Okay, so let's get the Earth is flat, right? That's what we believe.
Non-rotating level plane. If
Just give me the rundown. I'm just.
Well, can I ask you a real quick question, just so I can understand where you're coming from? If the Earth were flat, would it be a disk floating in outer space?
Would it
To
be-
you? To you?
If I thought about a flat Earth, yeah, I think so.
Okay. What if it's not? What if it goes on infinitely forever in all directions?
what do you mean, like Mobius like strip?
Just like forever.
No, I'm just saying, like, what if the North Pole were in the center like this, and this is just a piece of paper, so there's only limited space,
you're
and it went.
saying-
Can I finish?
Sure.
Okay. So, and it just went on infinitely in all directions if you go the opposite of north. So you take a compass and you go south, and you just keep going. What if that were possible? And what if it were like all the blue here, there was another continent here
Oh.
that you're just not familiar with?
Oh dang! So there's like more than just the continents we know. It's not even just water. That'd be cool. Do you think like more people? Do you think, or do you think it'd just be like?
I think that there's actually an ancient civilization that's more advanced than us, and we're being weaned our touch screens and technology and everything.
Like we're gonna.
We're going to be, quote, invaded by a quote alien.
They're not even alien because they're on the same. Like,
Exactly. But if you believe in the heliocentric model, you would think that they're coming from outer space because they're able to hover over the ground using electromagnetic technology. So if they're able to hover over the ground using, quote, UFO type technology, but they're really just here and they have an understanding of the ether and how to make things hover, the layman would think that it's anti-gravity and they're from outer space.
I see.
But really, they're just on another continent, whether it be the Tartarians or the Atlanteans or whatever. You know, all these ancient cultures that we've heard about in the past.
No, but what evidence do you have? You can't just talk like that.
I can talk like that because black holes aren't verified. The bending of space eyes aren't verified.
They got a picture of that.
So,
Have you heard of that? Hey, can I get a card?
yeah, of course you can. Yeah, laugh it up, have friends.
Hey, I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't put the card, right? No.
We're just
How do I
curious.
get it on YouTube because I'm not
We're all
seeing
here.
it?
We just want to
Oh, yeah.
know what you have to say. I don't have anything to say.
So there you go.
This one?
And then subscribe.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the video that you were on, let's see here.
Okay, so the Earth is not
Videos.
just flat; it goes on forever.
It was one of
1 week
these.
ago.
Yeah, it's just like
1 week? Yeah, I think it's on Tuesday.
And so there's like other kinds.
Yeah, so it was one of these 3 videos here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty long.
is
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me clear this out for you.
Yes, please.
They
Shape
took
me up.
Sure. They took the picture of black hole recently, about 3 months ago. You know that, right?
What's that?
They took the picture of black hole, like actual real picture of black hole. They took it.
I just don't agree with that,
let
man.
me-
I know
let
what
me-
you're going to show me.
Do
Okay.
you just see things? It's all like propaganda, right? It's like people
Well,
just got-
he's leaving right now. But there's an asteroid called asteroid 1982A or something like that looks actually exactly similar to the black hole image that was given to us a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Something to think about. And it was released like 20 years ago. Yeah, it's asteroid 1982A, something like that. And yeah, and I shared it in a long time ago on one of my videos.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Do you have it on YouTube?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I have like almost over 300 videos of me doing this. I also go to like Lake Calhoun. I set up a table, so it's more like personal and like what people would consider more of a teaching environment.
Okay.
Otherwise, I come here. I'll go to a TCF Bank Stadium and hang out. Football games.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
No.
how did you like, or like what?
Just like
kind
late 2015,
Okay.
like late winter
Is there
2015.
something that like how did you get to like this?
Well, I've always kind of challenged, like authority, if you will, and questioned, like why am I here? Like, what's the point? So I feel like if I allow that type of, spirit, if you will, to question like things around me, I feel like our Creator will allow me to see things that I won't immediately reject, I guess. So I don't reject immediately. I wouldn't walk by somebody that's doing either this or something different and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they believe that, type of thing. I would actually come up like you are and like try to actually like be inquisitive and like find out where they're coming from. And so I saw a video called 200 Proofs, and it just never crossed my mind that water lays level and flat when contained.
Yeah.
So whether it be a cup, a pool, or a lake, even the oceans, water will always seek its level, and it's something that we can experience in the springtime, for example. When the snow is melting, it will go down this hill because it will seek its level. That's just how water does. When it's an incline, it will just keep going, and then when it finds a leveling point, it will pool up, and the top surface will be flat and level. So it's been conveyed that the oceans are that. So it's just like a big giant lake called the oceans that we live in, and the continents are just islands, just big giant islands, and there's just everything. So if you were to, quote, circumnavigate from point A to point, and go around, you would just do this and just go around like that. So circumnavigation doesn't necessarily prove that you're on a ball. It just means that you're just going from block to block to block to block, and you end up where you're at again.
So when you talk about it being flat, do you mean that it's a disc?
No, in my opinion, it goes on infinitely forever in all directions.
What's the shape? I know it does. So what's the shape? Like, what does it look like?
I don't know. I personally, just because of my own spirituality, I don't feel... Oh yeah, take care. Hope to see you again. I don't feel like our Creator gave us the ability to see the entire Earth in its entirety. I just don't feel like that.
Because they have like international like space station upward, right?
I know they convey that. I don't agree with that.
What do you mean you don't think they have it?
No.
So how do you think that GPS works?
Okay, so you think GPS works on like satellites and stuff like that?
Global.
Okay.
Yes,
If you want to believe that, that's up to you. But can I give you an alternative viewpoint?
Sure.
Okay, so GPS is also called ground positioning system.
Yeah.
And
global positioning system. Sorry.
Okay, are you familiar with what GPS actually came from? It actually came from DARPA.
Okay, so you know what equation?
Okay, so it actually came from the military first. So did your internet. Your internet came from the military first for intercommunications with the military. Okay, so they test everything through the military, and then they wean it out to the civilians once they have everything under control so they can control you and the information that's being provided to you. You understand that, right? Okay, so back to GPS real quick. 99% of all your communication done on Earth is through fiber optics and ground towers. The other 1% is through landlines. So from intercontinental, from A to B, is all hardwired underwater communication, and then it gets up onto the land, and that's your ground towers. So when you're driving, do you drive a car? Okay, do you drive a car? Okay, so when you're driving your car and you're using Google Maps, for example, and it's like right now, it's congested, you'll see a dark red strip. That means that there's congestion. So what's happening is all of the cell phones that are in front of you, most likely, 9 out of 10 people own cell phones nowadays, they're communicating with the node system and the ground towers near you to triangulate your position. So all of your cell phone towers and all your cell phones are communicating on the same node system. And that's how you're able to use GPS. It has nothing to do with satellites. It's all ground towers. It is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry, but can you maybe verify whether or not this is a real satellite? Just from...
I can't tell that.
Hey, take care, man. I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
I can't just tell it, but...
Okay, but if this were a satellite, does this look like something that... Hold on.
Sure.
I'm asking you a question, because I want to understand where you're coming from.
No. Here's the thing.
Okay, so does this look like a satellite that would be put in outer space?
I don't know where that came from. It could be Photoshopped too.
Okay, it could be. But what if this is also Photoshopped, and when you Google image satellites in space,
which is why I
all you get are CGI composites. But that's what you get.
Yeah, I don't.
I know that you're really just not wanting to listen to me right now, okay? This goes against everything that you've been taught and everything that you've learned.
It does.
Okay?
It totally does.
Hey, take care. I'll see you soon, maybe.
I'm just saying, you're explaining that's something, right? Where's the evidence? Like, you can't just talk.
I can talk because it's a new news article.
Yeah.
All of your communication done on Earth is through ground towers and fiber optic undersea cables. So good luck with that, bud. You want a water? All right, man. Water lays level and flat. I need a water. I'm quite parched. Rally time. It's quite the marathon. Thanks everybody for hanging out.